Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Mindy Eggen, and in today's video we are going to create 3 very simple Halloween cards using some products from Gina K Designs. Now when I originally did this card I had just created 1, but when I went to go create the video I thought, what the heck, let's do 3 because these are very simple and introduces some very basic card making skills. So I'm starting off with the Sunspots stencil from Gina K Designs and some layering white cardstock. Layering white cardstock is really good for ink blending. I'm holding the stencil down with some purple tape, and I'm going to be using the Altenew blending tool. This is new to me. I've had some questions about it, so I thought I'd give it a try. I just got these as I was getting ready to do the video. You can see there's a handle there. They are flat and they are white bristles, and it has a little case that you can store them in. So I'm starting off using Lucky Clover ink from Gina K Designs, and I'm just kind of swiping back and forth and tapping on it to load the ink on there. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to start in the middle of my stencil and work my way out. My plan is to have the darkest color in the middle, and then as I swirl out towards the sides of the card, I'm going to have it kind of fade off. Now I did start with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I do plan on trimming this down. I always like to start with kind of my basic size for a card front. That way, if I want to leave it, I can, or if I want to trim it down, I have that option. So I do go back and forth and load up some more ink on there. It does apply very softly. And with this particular stencil, I am switching my rotation. I kind of swirl to the right, I swirl to the left to make sure I have good coverage in all of those circles. Then I'll just carefully peel back that stencil, and my first panel is done, and I can work on my other 2. To clean this blending tool, I am just wiping this onto some paper towel that I have here. You could also do it onto some scratch cardstock. And to clean my stencil, I placed it on top of a paper towel, spritzed down some water, and I'm just wiping that water away. That paper towel underneath is going to catch any excess water or ink that I may have. For my second background, I'm using Wild Lilac, and you can see I'm doing this in Halloween colors, and I will have a matching card base to go with this. Gina's inks and cardstocks are so great with matching. They match so perfectly, so this was just a really fun project to do. So I ink blended on that Wild Lilac, peeled back my stencil to reveal that second background. You can see it fades off as I go towards the side of the cardstock. And then my last one here that I'm doing, I'll be using Sweet Mango. Now this purple tape, this is the thicker one, and this is also the newer version because it has that pattern on there. And I reused this for each background that I did. So I know there's been some issues with it as far as sticking. I just pushed down really hard onto my glass media mat, and it really did hold up well. So I'm kind of surprised. I think you just got to add a little bit more pressure when pushing that tape down. So there is my Sweet Mango background. For the stamping, I'm going to use Gina's White Heavyweight cardstock, and this is the Haunts and Harvest stamp set, which is part of the Festive Fall Card Kit. This will be available as an individual purchase at the next release, so if you missed the kit, be sure to watch for Gina's website for that. So I'm working with these cute little groupings of ghosts. I thought they were just adorable, and I'm going to make this so super simple. I'm inking this up with the Obsidian ink, and I stamp it twice using the mini MISTI tool because those black circles for the eyes and the mouth, I wanted to make sure those were really nice and filled in. I flip the cardstock, and I'm going to stamp it again. And I do stamp a third one off camera since I do have 3 cards to do. Now I am not going to do any coloring to these. Like I said, kept this really nice and clean and simple. Just a real basic card that you can create and give these out to kids or co-workers, or even just ghostly greetings is the sentiment that I'm going to choose. So it's just a really fun card to make. I'm going to die cut out these panels from the Master Layouts 2 die set from Gina K Designs. I love these because I can line up where I want to go or where I want to cut out on my card front. So once again, using that purple tape, holding it in place, and I'm going to use my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. And to die cut this, I'm tilting my cardstock when I put it on my cutting plate. I apologize, my cutting plates are very dirty. They're really cut into. Turning it sideways just makes it a lot easier to run through your machine. And I'll repeat that for the other two backgrounds. Since I already have my die cut machine out, I'm going to line up the coordinating die that you also get in the card kit, holding that in place with the purple tape, and I'll die cut out my 3 sets of ghosts. Now to stamp the sentiment, I'm using the ghostly greetings. I thought that was just really super cute. Lined up where my ghosts were going to go so I knew where to place my sentiment. And then using a MISTI corner tool, I'm going to make sure that that sentiment is straight. Then I can ink that up with the obsidian ink. And I'll repeat that for the other 2 card bases. So once I had that lined up, I just brought those panels in and stamped it again. I should have double checked to make sure they were lined up straight on the other panels, but I did not. I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed that some of them were not as centered as I had hoped, but I'm going with the flow. I'm going with it. To add just a little bit of dimension to my cards, I'm going to add foam tape behind each of these 3 blended panels that I did. So I will cover the entire length of the back of these panels, trim that off with scissors. And then after I remove the backing of that, I'm going to line that up onto the coordinating cardstock panel that I have. So that is a Lucky Clover ink with the Lucky Clover cardstock. And then I will give you a look at all 3 of them put together. All we need to do is add our ghosts. You can see how well the inks match the cardstock. For the ghosts, I'm going to use the Gina K Designs foam squares. If you've never used these before, these are phenomenal. So they come in this little box, and there's a dispenser. There's a little release paper there. You just pull that, and you can pick those foam squares right off. I love Gina's foam squares. I use them on a lot of my projects, and they're just the depth. So once I have covered the back of all of my ghosts with the foam squares, I'm going to remove that release paper, and then using my tweezers, I'm going to place that in the center of my card. So I'm kind of covering up that center circle that we had ink blended. And I'll repeat that step for the other 2 panels. To add just a little bit of sparkle to this, I'm going to use the clear quartz sequence. So I'm picking 3 of them out, lining them up kind of in a visual triangle around my ghosts, and then using my Connect glue, I'm going to attach those sequins and just kind of push those down, make sure they're secured on there. So here's a look at 3 of our ghostly greeting cards. Very quick and simple to put together, great to mass produce if you're looking for friends, kids, co-workers. All of the supplies will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.